What if Spider-Man got the Infinity Gauntlet off of Thanos in Avengers Infinity War? For this to work, let's say that while on Titan, Star-Lord doesn't fuck things up and Mantis is able to hold Thanos longer. While everyone else holds him down physically and Spider-Man is able to pull the gauntlet off, and when this happens, the Mad Titan would try to rush past everyone, but they'd barely be able to hold him back. He'd be able to overpower them, but as Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the rest of the Guardians distracted him, Iron Man would pick up the gauntlet, and as a sort of version to Endgame, would modify his nanosuit to make his hand be as big as the gauntlet and snap. Even though he didn't have all of the stones, he's only wiping out Thanos and his army, so let's say it still works, just on a much smaller scale. He dusts Thanos and his armies on Earth to save everyone. Tony would fall to the ground and Peter would rush to his side and hold him in his arms, and Peter would watch as his father figure died. No one would get dusted and Vision would still be alive. Spider-Man and the rest would return to Earth and hold a funeral for Tony and figure out what to do with the remaining stones. Since Tony never invented time travel, they'd be split up amongst the remaining heroes to guard to ensure nothing like this ever happened again. It would still be 2018, so as time passed, everyone would go back to their normal lives. Again, since Vision is alive, Wanda doesn't go crazy and turn evil. Steve is still Captain America but works with Bucky and Sam. However, Peter would graduate high school and go to MIT with MJ and Ned, but by the time Mysterio pops up, he'd have been Spider-Man for much longer and would defeat him more easily, which means he'd never get his identity revealed. And because of this, No Way Home doesn't happen and no one forgets Peter Parker exists and Aunt May doesn't die. Peter would have gotten control of Stark Industries tech like in Far From Home and would have become a sort of successor to Iron Man. And whenever a major threat popped up or some other hero needed help, he'd be there while also dealing with his own villains. But what do you think about all this?